Based on the current status of the Israeli-Palestinian relationship, there is going to be continued conflict. It's not an intifada, but there is going to be a bleak period ahead. We know that there is a poor relationship between Netanyahu and the boss, and that has not helped at all. The Palestinians are weak and divided, and a boss is unable to control Hamas. Therefore, there's really no incentive, unfortunately, to negotiate. Now, it's clear that a negotiated settlement will not occur soon. So what can we do to keep our prospects open for a two-state solution? The United States must continue to provide leadership. The more the U.S. stands back, the more that others will try to intercede, and the worse things will turn out. For example, France has said that if there's no agreement whatsoever, they're just going to recognize a Palestinian state. So the U.S. should employ a special envoy to engage Israel and a responsible Palestinian leadership. And the key to that is to make sure that the parties are at the table and that the parties stay focused on that two-state solution. This entails making sure that Israel has a secure and recognizable border and that the stabbings are subdued and stopped. There's going to be tough compromises to be made if we get to a two-state solution. There's no doubt about it. But that is the right thing, and the U.S. must show some leadership in ensuring that we stay focused on that outcome. Thank you.
Well, obviously the Israeli-Palestinian relationship is a very volatile one. And there was a period from about 2005 to 2014 where we saw relative calm. And then that ended last year. In the last 5 months, there have been about 100 stabbings. Just last week, you may have read, there was a young 19-year-old female police cadet who was killed. And these incidents of violence are really attributed to what's called the one-minute terrorist. And the one-minute terrorist refers to someone who, 1 minute, is not showing any history or intent of violence or hostile behavior, and the next minute they're pulling out a knife or a gun and attacking. And it's very alarming because these attacks can happen to anyone, anywhere, at any time. Unlike a traditional attack from a rocket from Gaza that can be intercepted at sea or repelled by the Iron Dome or destroyed in a tunnel, it's very difficult to take out these one-minute terrorists because it doesn't take a lot of time to prepare, and it doesn't cost very much for these attackers. So in the context of the Israeli-Palestinian relationship, you have the historical tension and animosity, and then add to that the dynamic of ISIS, Iran, Hezbollah, and now this social media phenomenon, these non-state actors, these one-minute terrorists, and it becomes a very volatile situation. So here's what I think we need to do. First, I mentioned this before, we need clarity of intent. And our intent when it comes to the Palestinians cannot be inserting a two-state solution that requires both sides to make concessions and both sides to set false expectations. Our intent has to be to promote a two-state solution in which the solution is arrived at by the parties themselves. Second, we need to work with our allies in the region, Saudi Arabia, for example, to help finance the Palestinian government. This would include financial support for infrastructure, for civil institutions, and for anti-corruption measures. That's obviously a big problem. And then third, we need to support the Israeli Defense Force. There is so much tension within Israel, and tensions run high. And the way I think about it is like a local police force that's underfunded, and you have individuals who are stretched thin and overworked and underappreciated. And what happens is they may approach a situation that may not even be a hostile situation, but because tensions are so high, they may inadvertently become hostile in a non-hostile situation. If we can relieve the Israeli Defense Force of some of that tension, and one area where we can do that is to the north against Hezbollah, If we can relieve them of that tension, it frees up the Israeli Defense Force to really focus on internal security, to get into the neighborhoods, and to bring comfort and peace and security to both Israeli and Palestinian neighborhoods. And then in terms of specific programs, I think about this, there are always things that we can do at the state-to-state level. Diplomacy, use our economic tools, use military aid, but then we also have to be thinking about what can happen at the local level. And this is where I think education is so important, because what we want to do is we want to raise up the next generation of Israelis and Palestinians to not be violent, to not be hostile, to not carry on these attacks. And a lot of that has to do with the textbooks and the curriculum within the Palestinian education system. And that has got to be reformed, and we can promote that kind of reform through our State Department Bureau of Education and Cultural Affairs. Another thing is we can really promote investment of the infrastructure. Many Palestinians feel like they're living in squalor. They don't have basic municipal services, the roads are crumbling. So, of course, they feel like they're being discriminated against and they become hostile. What we need to do is create an environment of mutual respect. That starts with the basic municipal services, having good roads, having water service, having road service, then making sure that the children are properly educated, then helping the police and the Israeli Defense Force. And from all of that combined, we can begin to bring down the temperature and bring down the tensions and really improve those relations.